right, hey everybody, it's your girl Nisha, aka Nisha the Voice, live with my boy DJ Skills, aka the Mash Out King. What's going on?
What's goody? What's goody? I'm here. Can you hear
I
me?
know. Yeah, I can hear you. I
Okay.
can hear you. I can hear you.
All right.
Haven't partied with you in a minute, due to pandemic.
Right.
But he's all over the airwaves. So I mean, I Skills and I go way back. For those that do not know, I think Skills. I think we've known each other now for what 10, 11 years,
It's been
maybe
that
longer
long.
than that. Yeah, it's been longer than that. Skills.
Dang.
Yeah, yeah. Time flies, right?
It don't even seem like it's been that long. Like it's
I
been. I know it's
know.
been a minute, but it don't seem like it's been that long.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, celebrity DJ, I can go on and on about your accolades. The very first time that I heard you was in Florence, when 106.3. You were pretty much the midday DJ. Like, if you, 12
Absolutely.
o'clock,
12 o'clock.
you
That
had
was it.
everybody in their car was crunk.
Yeah.
So,
Good.
and then I got to attend some of your parties, got to see how you rock the crowd. And then anybody that has gone to North Carolina A&T homecoming already know the atmosphere. But every party that I went to that you were at, it was packed, it was jumping. Nobody wanted to go home. Like you really like literally you bring the life to the party, and you're a very versatile DJ, and not too many DJs right now out right now can rock like that. You know,
I would
um
agree. I would agree.
and we had
Humbly,
DJ
humbly,
Cool.
humbly, and
Yeah,
respectfully. Yeah.
right.
Cool is my uncle. That's my big uncle. So
Well, he was on the show, and you were one of his favorite DJs. He was like, "Yo,
Yeah.
Skills is my boy." And for those that do not know, Skills and I have worked on the project together. My very first Street album, that still to this day is a classic. Everybody still plays it.
Yeah, it is.
One of the songs off of Love Chronicles Volume One, the Street album, that still rocks, that still knocks to this day, that everybody is still gravitating to, is the remix that I did to Lil Brothers. I can't
Slow it
remember.
down.
Slow it down, yeah.
Yeah.
And I did a version of it called Circles, which is almost kind of like speaking to what he's talking about. But it's really an honor and a pleasure to work with you, because Skills is the type of person. He's a perfectionist. He's an Aries, such as myself. So,
We keep it honest. We keep it honest.
so we both are perfectionists. So got to make sure it's right. Got to make sure that everything is together, especially when you're putting out a project. And we're gonna get into the conversation tonight, especially about what you got going on, and how you have made it throughout this pandemic as well, because there's a lot of things that are going on in the world right now. And as a DJ, you all bring the life, to anybody that is going through things, kind of help them, get through this quarantine. And while we were going through club quarantine, you were one of the DJs that were on YouTube, that were on Instagram. I love the go-go session. I don't know about anybody else, but
I
I
might, I might
love
have
the
to. I
go-go
might have to
session.
bring that. I might have to bring that back soon. Like, I have to bring that back soon.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So tell us a little bit how you have handled this pandemic. How has it been going for you?
Well, I mean, like many, when the pandemic first hit, we didn't really know what to expect. So it was kind of like, I know for me, I had did an event. It was like, I think it was like Friday the 13th, right before, like the Monday before everything shut down.
Uh huh.
So we kind of went through the motions, like, okay, this is only going to last for like a week or two. Then promoters started calling and canceling dates and whatnot. So it was just like, all right, that's a 2 week thing. And during that time, I wasn't really, my schedule wasn't really heavy like that, because I was going into my birthday month. So I kind of cleared things out anyway to travel and just kind of enjoy,
Right.
my birth. But so after those 2 weeks, we had a couple of things lined up, like in mid-April, a couple of big events throughout like the middle of April, going all the way to the end of April. Then those promoters called and was like, all right, we're canceling. And this was like the second week into the pandemic. So this is when we kind of knew it was real. But, at that point, we probably thought, all right, it may last only, a month. At that point, it was kind of like going into like mid-April. But, after that shut down, and then venues just like nothing.
Yeah.
Music festivals started calling, was like, yo, no more music festivals until at earliest the fall of 2021. And we was like, what?
Right.
We was like, nah, it's too early to make that decision. And they was just like, nah. So at that point, it got real. And a couple of people had hit me and was like, yo, like you should do a live. And I was just like, I was just kind of in a space where like I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Like,
Mm-hmm.
had stuff set aside. So, I was good for, a hot little second as far as living and surviving, but it was just kind of
Right.
like this is different because I'm not used to being home for one. I'm used to
Right.
being on the go all the time. So it just kind of took me for a loop, and then a couple of people hit and was like, yo, you should do a live. So I think like within that I think it was like the 21st or something like that. I can't remember the
Mm-hmm.
date right offhand, but it's like the 19th, 21st, somewhere around that time.
Yeah.
And that Friday night, we like, yo, like we gonna do this HBCU party, and we did it, and organically it popped. Like
It did.
Fabulous popped in. Man, Freaky Zeke from the Dipset. Man, Dougie Fresh. Man, it was a couple of and it was just something organic, and then after that, it was just like, yo, we in the pandemic, like nothing is open.
Yeah.
At
And
that
I mean, it was crazy because I hopped in one night to the HBCU party, and a couple of my sorors, shout out Delta Sigma Theta.
right,
So
salute to
I
y'all.
mean, yeah, because I mean, you just did a gala for them not too long ago.
Right.
I think it's Raleigh alumni that you just
Yep.
did a gala for, and I started seeing a lot of sororities, fraternities that were doing the virtual thing. And then when club quarantine kind of just popped off, it was like I was hopping from your set to DJ Nice set, your
Yeah,
set to DJ Nice set. And so everybody started posting on Facebook. Everybody was like, yo, I'm at party right now with DJ
right.
Skills. And then they're like, oh, okay, I'm
it was
hopping.
the virtual club
Yeah.
around the world.
So it was fun, it
Right.
was fun to see that happen, to like see the party scene kind of just transform completely. And now it's different now too, because I know in several different states they're kind of restricting the limits of how many people you can actually have in a party. And even, those that don't know, you are one of the official DJs with CIAA. So
Right.
that was different this year too. So it was one of those
100%.
things. And yeah, So, and then of course it was in a different state. So I was like looking, like saying like, wow, like this is just totally different. Like the pandemic just took everybody by storm. We didn't know exactly what was going to happen.
Right.
And I think the DJs, kind of made it fun, kind of help us kind of, breeze through that, especially with what you do. And I don't think a lot of, I want to go into this topic too. Like people do not know how important a DJ really actually is. And I want to get into this conversation with you because a lot of artists do not know, and Cool and I talked about it too. Cool was like, people just don't understand how really important a DJ is. Because you have your ear to the streets and you also have your ear to execs.
Right.
So it's like you're the middleman. You are the connect that artists really need to connect with for one, to give that listening ear to say, okay, yeah, you got a hit. And then, yeah, you probably need to go back in the lab. Because we've had those conversations several times.
Yeah.
Like where you need to go back and do this or you need to go that. Harlem and Oliver, all of us pretty much kind of collaborated and kind of figured out what will be good, what will be, good single to put out. So I want to have that conversation with you too. So how important artists must understand how important a DJ really is.
I mean, and I missed a Cool interview, but like Take It Cool has been around this game since like 1980, the year I was
Mm-hmm.
born.
Yeah.
You got to think like he was a DJ then, and
Mm-hmm.
so you know we hear like, and I can't say all DJs, right? It's a thing to, like I always say, like either you got it or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Not something that somebody can teach you. Having an ear naturally is something that you either it grows over time or you just it's like having rhythm. A lot of people can listen to music and watch a person dance 20 million times. They'll still move they got two left feet. They just don't have no rhythm. So, for us as DJs and certain DJs, and it's not to alienate anybody, but just being 100% real. Like some of us, we have it's a gift. It's almost like playing a piano by ear or playing any instrument by ear. Like when we hear certain things, like we know what goes, we know what fits, we know what's going to make people move,
Mm-hmm.
even before like we even throw that record on even before that record even gets sent to us. We just like if we're just listening to it, we know it's going to make records move. And I use this in the sense of like when we created your first project.
Right.
I could visualize and see people moving to your songs. I knew it was going to grab their attention.
Right.
Me, I like to center on things that's going to move your soul because once your soul moves,
That's it.
everything else follows with it. So from a
Right.
musical standpoint, I always feel that artists need to tap in and plug into DJs because at the end of the day, we are your soul controllers. We make you move
Exactly.
when you don't want to move, and it's not all, but some of us have that gift of where we can do it. Some others it have to work a little bit harder. But as a DJ as a whole, we are your soul controllers. We make you move when you don't want to move. Like we have that knack. Like so we're always watching the crowd. We're trying
Mm.
to see how we can make the crowd move before the crowd even knows what's next. Like that's a natural gift. So um, that comes with having that ear. So it's definitely important for artists to tap
Right.
into DJs because our vision and what we see is totally different from what your man that you're around every day sees, or
Right.
you know, saying your homie that's on the street, or your best friend that's in the salon all day and around the girls, like, or just in the shop. Like, our vision is different. It ain't to take nothing away from you. You need all of those elements, but DJs sometimes know exactly what's going to connect the people without having a marketing strategy. Just from a musical standpoint,
Hmm.
what's going to connect from the sound, how it all is just put together. So it's definitely important for artists to tap into DJs.
Yeah, and I think I've seen a lot of showcases. Back in the day, they used to do a lot of showcases where you have these artists that will come and perform these showcases where you have the DJ sitting to the panel, a lot of DJs in the panel listening to records and things like that. Which they don't have them as much as they used to. But you have like let's go into discussion too with hip hop. So hip hop, for instance, like Cool and I was having a conversation about hip hop, about how hip hop has changed.
Mm-hmm.
And you, a celebrity DJ who has DJ for Dougie Fresh, also you shared the set with other hip hop artists, so like the authenticity of basically having someone that has it when it comes to hip hop. You know what I mean? Being authentic. So with Cool was basically, going into the discussion that a lot of the music that we hear right now is just not, it doesn't have that grit,
It don't have no
that
feel
heart and
to it.
soul.
It doesn't have a
Yes.
feel to it.
Right. It's not commercial, but it's more like everybody is doing the same thing. Nothing is original.
Everybody's selling a hit. Like everybody's selling a hit. And I was just on a Zoom call earlier today with Tootsie,
Hmm.
which is Arnold Teller, the baby, all of them
Yeah.
on the same label.
Yeah.
I think it was with SMG. But it was a listening session for his album. Like his album is dope. It actually has feel. It actually has range. And so, like with a lot of music today, people are just they're making EPs. They're not making albums. They're making
Right.
singles. They want to. It's like it's almost they're making songs for clickbait, but they're not
Hmm.
making anything that sticks. It's almost like eating food. If you want something quick, what you're gonna go do? You're gonna go to a fast food restaurant just to fill your hunger appetite for that minute. But when you really
Right.
want something that's gonna stick
Right.
to your soul, and artists are not giving people anything that sticks. It's almost like
Right.
building a house with
Exactly.
a foundation. Like you gotta have some wind beneath you, like you gotta have some weight beneath your feet, like, and artists are not really giving anything, and it's not even about substance. uh like it's not fully about substance because everybody's gonna have different titles or whatever, but the connecting pieces, like a lot of times I think they making music for themselves and for their homies, like they're not even really making music for the people, so they're just making music to sell. And one thing that this was years ago when Rockefeller broke up, and I,
Hmm.
I saw Lenny S doing an interview, and he was saying being an A&R is something that you cannot learn. He said
Mm-mm.
being an A&R is knowing what connects to your people. The
Right.
game started changing when you had people with business degrees becoming A&Rs,
Hmm.
business and marketing degrees. So if you
Hmm.
think about that, it kind of makes you think like, dang, like that's when the music really started changing. Like
Yeah, it
you
did
have people with
because
marketing degrees being A&R, so they're not telling you how to make records to connect with your people. They're telling you how to make a record to sell. That's a
Right.
huge difference, you know.
Right. And here's the thing, like, I remember when all that, went down, and shout out to Rockefeller Records as well, because you was one of the official DJs working with them as well too. So at the same time, when all that was taking place, I remember the very first time I met DJ Eddie F. I was 12 years old at that time, and Eddie F and everybody was pretty much, working at that time, because all they didn't have business degrees. Those guys knew music. They had been in the game for a long time, and they have, the time they were working with Usher, getting Usher, developed and everything else. They were working with Jodeci. They were working with other, the Untouchables. The
Right.
Untouchables were kind of, really making music. Dope producers who are still around to this
That was
day.
the type. That was the type. That's the type.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I still see Kenny to this day, and Donnell and all of them that were working together. And those type of producers, which are, execs, record execs that know the game. And if you listen to the music, because majority of their music was in the 90s, maybe early 2000s,
Right.
they're still making music now, but those are still classics. When, like you said, when you have the business degrees come in, everything changed because they have a business mindset.
Right.
So what they're thinking about right now is how to make the company money. And if you go back, and listen to interviews with DMX, you go back and listen to interviews of all the late hip hop artists, they will tell you of how, they were in meetings with these new execs, and these new execs were telling them what direction they need to go.
Right.
And then, it was just like, I'm sitting here like, wow, like really, because when someone tried to tell you how to do you, it does not become fun anymore. Like, you
Work
lose.
is work is work at that point.
Yes, yes, you lose. You basically lose the, I say, the want, and you lose the hunger of actually going after it now, because they're making it a job.
The fun is going. Like the
Yeah,
fun and the originality and the creative process, all of that is thrown out the window. Like you
yeah,
can't be a free creative at that point.
yeah. And so it's bad, because now you have bubblegum, which is pop, because R&B, has kind of transitioned over, and now you've got hip hop or whatsoever now that is trying to be more so, like you said, clickbait. Like,
Right.
everybody's doing singles now. Like Soldier Boy, we ain't heard from Soldier Boy in how long? Now Soldier Boy came out with "She Make It Clap," and like he's back on again.
Well, if you got TikTok now too. It's it's man. Listen, the game is
So it's
it's always,
changed.
yeah, it's always evolving, and it's I always just say you just kind of gotta move and shift however it benefits you. Like
Right, right. And I think too, and the reason why I brought up the discussion about how important is a DJ, because with all these things on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, a lot of artists feel like, well, I can just use my social media. I really don't need the DJ. But understand, sometimes, you have to understand, you still need radio play. You still need those DJs to be that connect, because I mean, people just putting out anything now. The stuff that I hear that my son plays,
oh,
I'm just like,
they're on a whole other stratosphere
oh
over
my God, like
I
the
respect it
music.
though. I
Yeah,
respect
I
it
mean,
though.
I do. Yeah, I respect it too, but at the same time, like, I'm a lyrical person. So like, when I hear stuff, I'm like, what are they saying? Like, what are they saying?
You might be a translator for that.
Right. Yeah, cuz I mean, and then I was like, some of the stuff just don't make sense, but
Right.
these kids love it, and they're gravitating to it. They're buying the music, they're downloading, they're streaming it. So, the game has changed so much, over the years, to where it's like, artists now, they go and, I think, I can't remember the artist that said it, but I remember there was like, just get in, get what you can get out, and just leave.
Right. Right.
Cardi B. That's exactly who said it. Get it in, get what you can get, and bounce. And
Yeah.
that's it.
Right.
So it's just, and even when it comes to the record labels, a lot of people are not, doing deals anymore. Everybody's becoming independent. So what is your take on that in regards to, advising artists in the route to go? Because you still have some artists now that want to be signed. And
Right.
we hear all the horror stories. We heard all the horror stories about going in, you might have the number one record, and you are broke as hell.
Yeah, like now it's so my take on that is this, and I always have. I've been having art the past 5 to 6 years, even when I was living in Atlanta, like when I was really able to get knee deep in, being an A&R
Mm-hmm.
and doing some stuff with Kenny Burns and my guy
Yeah.
Chubb and Slick and all of them. Um, I was really knee deep in it then, so I could understand the independent side more because I wasn't A&R, so I could understand the importance and how to actually work as an independent if that's what you want to do. So nowadays, like especially nowadays, I tell artists like this: being an independent artist is just like is the equivalent of running your own business. You
Mm.
gotta have a solid team around you, and it can
Mm-hmm.
benefit you if
Right.
you have a team around you and everybody has roles. That's the
Mm-hmm.
only way it can work to your advantage. Now, to the artists that want to be signed, it's no knock to it. Like you can still do that, but you can still do that and it works to your advantage. Look at the
Mm.
baby, for instance. The
Right.
baby has his own situation with Interscope, so they are eating.
Mm-hmm.
But to do that, you have to create a demand for who you are and what it is that you provide.
Right.
Because when you just an artist, you just saying, "Oh, I'm dope. I'm trying to get signed." You're going to be one of the main artists that, how you say, they have the number one single, and
And
then
broke.
you're broke like 6 months later because you owe all of this money. But then you got to
Right.
go back and look. It's like you got what you wanted, but then you have to ask yourself, what did you bring to the table that could make money other
Mm-hmm.
that like the asset for yourself, like what kind of assets did you build for yourself going into that situation? Did you go to that table with bargaining power? Probably
Mm-hmm.
not. If
Right.
you're in that situation, so at the end of the day they can throw a deal at you because first of all they know you want to be signed.
Right.
So at the end of the day you're a bill to them and they're going
Mm-hmm.
to get their money back. So at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day you have no bargaining power. You go straight to them, they're going to sign you, and you don't
Right.
know what you're signing, but at the end of the day you just know, oh, I'm signed, I got this advance, this, that, and the third. Before you get in and spend it, you owe it back first and
Yeah.
foremost.
Yeah.
So so any artist these days, I always tell them, I'm like, man, listen, if you have a hustler mentality or entrepreneur mindset, you can be independent and get distribution through a major. You
Mm-hmm.
gotta have all your ducks in a row. You gotta have your own promo. You have to bring a lot more to the table to have a situation that really works fully in your benefit like that. And you gotta have people around you that legit knows the game, because this game will swallow the industry will swallow you up
Oh, it will. Oh, it
like
will.
they'll chew you up like it ain't sweet. It's like it's not sweet at all. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Right.
gotta have some tough skin, and you gotta have a strong mental capacity. Like
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
sustain. But yeah, it's a way that you can do it. But I always say, like, build your own team, build your
Mm-hmm.
own team, and build your own demand. It's almost like saying if you start a T-shirt company,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody across the world is trying to buy your T-shirts. And you have one company that might be like, oh man, like it's this new underground or T-shirts that everybody's trying to buy. That major company wants in because they see it making money. So now
Right.
when they approach you, you got some bargaining power, because it's like, look, this is what I make on my own. So what kind
Mm.
of deal are we going to work? Because technically, I don't need y'all.
Right.
That's the kind of,
Exactly.
right. That's the kind of conversations artists need to have when they go into labels. But it's a lot of groundwork that they have to do for themselves and with their internal team
Mm-hmm.
before they even get to those negotiating tables with the, what I'm saying, with the labels.
Right. 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 And speaking of t-shirt company, you have a t-shirt, got skills, that
Oh
you're
yeah.
wearing as of right now. Yeah. So yeah, so definitely, I mean, you're absolutely right. That's your brand. When you come to the table,
Right.
that's something that whatsoever that you have to have bargaining power when you're going to these labels. Now, you brought up a very respectable artist, the baby, that's from Charlotte, North Carolina,
Right.
and with him, he to me, the baby is versatile. He can rap on anything. He reminds you, I don't know if you well, you do remember, when Nicki Minaj first came out. Nicki Minaj was basically doing, remixes. She was rhyming over,
She was on everything.
beats. Yeah, she
She was
was
on
on
everything moving.
yeah, exactly. And that got her noticed.
Right.
And the same thing with the baby. The baby was, like you said, already had a following.
Right.
He basically came in through kicked the door down, came out swinging. So at,
Yeah,
at,
he,
at
yeah, he had
yeah,
thing with hits like
yeah, he
it was
did.
hit after hit after hit,
He did.
hit after street hit after street hit,
Hmm.
radio like he had it. And I Arnold Taylor has been in this game for a long time. So once again, that's like building that perfect formula to be successful as an indie and be able to go to the labels and get exactly what it is that you need
Right.
to push forward. Like you don't really need them, but you're gonna be able to use them to your advantage. And
Hmm.
that's one of those other things of building that circle around you of people that know what it is, the end goal is, and people that know what they're doing. That's
Right.
a perfect example.
Yeah, it is. And the thing is that, like I said, he did not place himself in a box, because you got a lot of artists that make that mistake.
Mhm.
That where they place themselves in a box, they do not allow themselves to, still stay true to who you are, but also branch out to where you would make you a versatile artist that's also going to make you, more notable. That's not just going to be in one genre, but you're across all different genres, because he, ventured over into pop, doing
Got to be
songs for
able to pivot.
Ariana Grande. Yeah, and then at the end of the day, like, you'll hear him on another song, where with other artists and other genres. So he, really, really did well, I think, with not, just keeping himself in just that one lane. So, much props to him for that, to being able to be that versatile, especially in
Absolutely.
hip hop. You know what I mean? Because
Absolutely.
that's like, to me, that's like a chess move. That's like Jay-Z right there, because Jay-Z is very versatile as well. And
Right.
the thing is, now it's, you don't see many artists as that. They just stuck to trap and that's it.
Well,
So,
to his defense, well, I'm not speaking on his behalf, but for the type of music that he does, right? If you notice, trap is almost like the new version of punk rock or rock and roll.
oh wow, yeah, okay, I
If
can give you
you think
that.
about it. So, like, trap music goes beyond urban communities now.
Yeah,
Trap
it
music
does.
is all ethnic backgrounds, and 9 times out of 10, when you go to their shows, you see more uh whites, Asians, every other race. We are the minority at most of those shows now.
Yeah,
Like,
that is
you look
true.
at the Playboy Cardis, the
Yeah.
Uzi Verts. Like we're not at their shows. Like
No.
it'd be everybody else but the urban community. So
Right.
for them, when they do that type of music and they cross over and do a pop record, that audience is already showing up, so they can be who they are. They
Exactly.
switching up. They just being who they are, and makes it easy because there's no pressure. They're flocking to it, like, and they love it. And trap music, I've just watched it over the years, just evolved into like the new version of punk rock and rock and roll. How
Wow.
for what I see, like,
Yeah.
so for them, it makes it hella easy for them.
Yeah. Oh, I get it. I mean, that's more revenue for them. Because, like you said, if they do cross over into another genre of music, the audience is already there. So, I
Right.
mean, great marketing strategy, though.
Right.
Great
But
marketing strategy.
technically, it's not even them crossing over because that audience they're listening to everything,
Yeah, that is true. That is
Right.
that
They,
that is true.
yeah, they listening to everything. So,
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I do want to get into the conversation, because about you being the celebrity DJ. So a lot of people do not know, like, your accolades, your resume, and especially for those that are aspiring to become a celebrity DJ such as yourself. That road is not easy at all. So yeah, I mean, I know your resume, I know your history. I mean, I know, I see the grind, and I see all the trips that you take, and how you have to consistently be on the go.
right.
So I do want to get into that conversation, and talk a little bit about your journey into becoming that celebrity DJ, because a lot of people look at you and say, oh wow, he just up and just became, he was just here,
Right.
doing the mix, and now it's like, I see him, he's on a show with Dougie Fresh, or
Right.
I see him at the One Music Fest.
Right.
So you've been some dope places. So about your journey, like, tell us a little bit about that.
Man, so I mean, when I first started DJing, in my city, Florence, South Carolina, that's where I'm from. I started out throwing my own parties. Me, my homie Will, and my homegirl Sophie from high school. We was throwing my own parties. We was throwing our own parties at that point. Like my 12th grade year in high school. And then at the end of my 12th grade at the end of my 12th grade look, at the end of my 12th grade year in high school, excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
DJ B Lord started managing me then, and B Lord was like the hottest DJ pretty much out of the South at the time, and I was pretty much traveling around with him opening.
Mm-hmm.
And my first experience on the road was the December '99. We was the RZA was doing the Bobby Digital album,
Oh
and
wow.
they had a tour for that. And B Lord was the headline DJ for it. So by him being the headline DJ, I had the opportunity to be the opening DJ, which was every night I was opening the venues.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my first time ever, definitely DJing outside of Florence, South Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
but just seeing the DJ game for what I knew it could be. Because I used to always watch Kid Capri and Scratch and Premiere. I used to watch all of these DJs, what I'm saying, on TV, Rap City, and they have the special segments and they're just
Yeah.
showcasing DJ, and I would listen to the mixtapes, and I used to always follow the mixtape and DJ game. So I
Mm-hmm.
was in tune with what was going on. I'm just like, dang, they doing all of this, that, and the third, but I never got to see it with my own two eyes. Like,
Right.
um, and I'll rewind back. Like, so a year prior to that, Kid Capri came out of City, influenced for Francis Marion Homecoming. And it was him and B Lord doing a party. And Kid, this is I think when he was right before he dropped the album, but he had a tour bus.
Oh wow.
So I'm looking at all this and I'm like, dang, DJ's got a tour bus. So everything that I'm seeing, I'm just like, it's possible. But
Yeah.
all these DJs, they're from big cities and the
Yeah.
whole nine. I'm from, suburban city, Florence, South Carolina, that
Right.
I-20 and 95 meet. Like,
Exactly.
what's happening there if you ain't play sports? So, uh, after I went on that RZA tour, it was
Yeah.
kind of like,
Like
this
this
is
is what
what
you
I
want to
want to
do.
do. I want to be a tour DJ. I want to travel on the road, not even knowing what a celebrity DJ was at that time, but I knew I wanted to be connected with artists, what I'm saying, on the road. So after that tour, B got booked to do the 2620 tour, and that was pretty much the opening DJ for that as well too, which was the Young Bloods. They were
Mm-hmm.
just coming out at that point. Jim Crow, which included Polo the Don, and was another group that was I think they called One Life to Live with Tony Touch
Mm-hmm.
or Redhanded, some Redhanded and his peoples. I was the opening DJ for that, and that tour went all the way from New York down to Florida, all the way over to Texas. I think we did like 28, 30 cities on that.
Oh wow.
I actually dropped. I sat out a semester to do that tour because that was the fall. That no, so the RZA tour was '98, fall winter '98, and the 2620 tour was fall winter of '99. And after that, things started getting serious. I started getting more bookings, like people started
Mm-hmm.
calling, and then I sat out a year, and during that time, that's when Mr. Cheeks started working on his solo project, solo project,
Mm-hmm.
the John P. Kelly project, and so I was able, at my manager at the time, me and B Lord had parted ways by then. So my manager at the time, a guy named Marty, he's from Queens. So he was connected with a lot of people, Akinelli, Uncle Wise, Nori, a lot of legendary people from Queens, and
Yeah.
he knew Cheeks and all of them at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So when Cheeks did the Lights Camera Action video, he was like, "Yo, we're shooting a video. Like, y'all can come down, bring a DJ." So that was my first experience in Miami, being in a whole nother light. So it was just gradual steps,
Yeah.
like everything was like gradual steps. So after that, I came back to Raleigh because by this time I had an apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, did the Mr. Cheeks video, came back to Raleigh, ended up getting on the Nelly Destiny Child tour when they just came out. All
Yeah.
this was happening like this. And so from that, by me living in Raleigh, like, and mind you, I was in Raleigh for 2 years. Nobody was booking me.
Mm.
I was in Greensboro every week doing college night. They was the only ones that was trying to hit me outside of South Carolina, me being
Yeah.
on the road. But after I
Right.
did that Nelly Destiny Child tour party, it was a wrap. It just opened up more floodgates in Raleigh. So it was kind of like the tension was coming.
Mm-hmm.
I was just taking it in stride. I still did not know what a celebrity DJ was. But
Wow.
some way, somehow, I just always kept getting that connection to
Mm-hmm.
artists and major events. But at the same time, that's what I was doing on the road when I went on my first tour. So after the Nelly Destiny Child tour, I was definitely contemplating dropping out of school, and I did. and this was 2002. And then by 2003, I was doing after parties for the Paid in Full tour, Rockefeller, which was I think it was Nori, I want to say Cam and the Dipset, and MOP. I was
Mm.
doing the after parties, and right after that tour, I met Kanye, and I met him in Raleigh. And we sat and chopped it up, and we did the Kanye College Dropout mixtape. Um, After that, we built a relationship. So I was doing Kanye West platinum parties for the College Dropout. Then during that same time, me and Rel linked, and that's when I knew he was from South Carolina, but he didn't know me. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of made our connection. And I started DJing for Rel, and then I started doing a lot of stuff with Rockefeller and rock music artists, Alan Anthony, Nicole Ray, and from there it was just
It was just
kept
growing,
going up.
growing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when Rockefeller broke up, I moved to Atlanta. Kenny Burns moved his imprint down there, Studio 43. So I was working with their artist Keys. And like once I got there, it was like it just opened up to something else. I think
Yeah.
my first event was I want to say it was Common's birthday party hosted. It was a vibe party, but it was Common's birthday party hosted by Kanye. And this was probably like a year after Rockefeller had already broke up. But this was like one of my first gigs
Mm.
in Atlanta. So everything else after that, it just kind of started. We got to get him for. It's like just I was just getting booked for certain kinds of events, like, and not to
Right.
say I wasn't doing clubs because I was still, go do clubs and other things of that
Yeah.
nature, but I was just always connected to the A-list, the celebrity events, and then it just kept growing. I think when within that same year, that's when I met Doug and Cool. That same
Oh,
year,
okay.
and I would fast forward. So that was 2006. So in 2016 is when me and Doug actually started traveling together, and he
Mm-hmm.
started bringing me along with him. And he told me like he's like I watched you for years and I watched you grow. Um,
Yeah.
so from there, just the Jay Z's, then did the Puffies,
Yeah.
Doug, Angela Simmons. I'm like one call away, do her events. Like a lot
Yeah.
of people didn't list me for a lot of things, but it's just kind of like I've always been pulled into that direction of just doing
Right.
those type of A-list saying parties. So a lot of that came from just me being groomed and ready and knowing what I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do, but knowing what I had to do to please that kind of crowd, because that crowd is a little bit different than playing for your local club or your regional club. Like their ear is different, their expectation is a little bit different, and a lot of times people come to those events and they are stargazed, and
Mm.
a lot of times what the celebrities don't want is the people to be stargazed. They want people to party. So that
Mm-hmm.
means you really got to get creative and make these people party. And I don't mean playing stuff from the radio, because 9 times out of 10, a lot of those parties pop and you don't really hear no radio music. The 10% of the party might be radio hits.
Yeah.
Everything else is like red jams, B-sides, like dope joints from the 90s, early 2000s that you may have forgotten about. Like that's what make those parties pop. So
Mm.
it's a different type of vibe and different type of feeling, because those people really come, and it's like they know their music and they really come to let their hair down because they work in such a hectic industry already. So when they
Right.
come, it's like they want to feel free. So that's your job. So that's I guess that's kind of like my journey
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah. I mean, dope.
I was poised for that from the beginning. My cousin Mark Elliott Vincent, like I always tell people the story. When I used to always go to his studio after school, he would always tell me to learn the records on his wall. And he
Mm.
had like a long, like his whole studio was like, imagine this whole entire wall, this side to this
Wow.
side, nothing but vinyl, like 8 rows top.
Yeah.
And I would have to I would go through, and I'll never forget this. When DMX came out with Get At Me, dog,
Mm-hmm.
he gave me like 4 copies of the joints. And I was playing them, and he was just like, yo, you need to learn some of these old school records. He said, because it's going to be easy to play the DMXs and the new stuff, but
Yep.
these old records is what's going to make people move. That
Yeah.
always stuck with me. So even when I first started out DJing, I've always been into old school music, and
Mm-hmm.
and it made me become a student of
Mm-hmm.
DJing and made me more of a student of music. So, and lo and behold, that would be one of the main things that helped me, thrive in A-list events because a lot of the music that they want to hear is not music on the radio. It's music that you got to do your homework to.
Exactly. And the thing is what is so like unique, especially like if like again, I tell everybody if you've never been to a skills party, you wouldn't notice. So like you just said, like you have to know your music, you have to know your history. Because what you will do is that a lot of these songs that people hear, especially the new school, they don't know that some of these songs have been sampled. So
Right.
again, what you will do is that even the song that is much popular, but you know what the original song was. You will play the original song and then you will mix it into the newer song. So everybody's like, "Oh wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that this song came from that."
You want me to
So
tell you why I knew it? I found out that was cool to do it. I'm gonna
when
tell you the moment that I knew that was a cool thing to do.
yeah.
So this had to be 2006, maybe. I'm living in Atlanta,
Mhm.
so and shouts to my guy Jay Carter, the guy that does One Music Fest. Back in the day he was throwing dope events when I first moved to Atlanta, like those exclusive A-list celebrity events, but like on the low that you wouldn't hear about unless you knew somebody. Like he was that guy doing those parties, and that was the first time I ever saw D Nice DJ as well.
Yeah.
This was way back in 2007, but the first time that I knew that playing breaks and then bringing the record that they used
Yep.
in with it at a party, it was a Questlove was DJing one of his events at Opera Lounge in Atlanta. I forgot what the name of the club is now, but it was Opera Lounge, and he played the sample to Beyonce "Crazy in Love."
Yeah.
And this was when Crazy in Love was still popping. So this might have
Uh-huh.
been like 3 years after the record came out, but it was still,
Yep.
hot. He
Yeah.
played the original sample in the party,
Yeah.
in the middle of the party, and people was
Yeah.
like, "Oh!" I'm like, "Is that?"
Yeah. I mean, I love it. I mean, I love it because it's like especially it's like you're hearing the record and you're like, okay. And then when you mix it, like the flow of it, of how you mix it in, and then everybody's like, oh, snap. Like it's almost like a shock. Like everybody's looking like, wow, like did he just do that? You know? I mean, it's crazy of how the flow, how that can change the entire party, change the entire mood of a party, and just like you said, DJs move the soul. Really, I mean, you
Right.
really do. Speak to the crowd in a manner I think where, especially you can go to a party can be dead, and you got a DJ that can come on the set and just turn the party up instantly.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying. I mean, I think it's a unique craft, unique skill to basically have because a lot of people can't do that. Like I've been in parties where it's been dead, and I'm like, okay, what time we leaving? And then I mean, Harlem will tell you, like, yeah, we're like, look, I'm ready to go, but it's just and then you have a DJ such as yourself that really, even it could be not as many people in the club, but you having a good time because you got
Right.
a DJ that is actually livening up, making it fun. And I've been several parties with you, and I've seen you rock a crowd of 20. I've seen you rock a crowd of 1,000 or more. So at the end of the day, you have that unique skill that if you come into a skills party, you gonna rock out. You're not gonna want to
No,
leave,
you
or your
come in
hair
the
gonna be
mood.
tired.
You come if I'm in the building, you come in the mood. Like if you come in the
You
deep sleep,
are. You
like that's
definitely are.
your
You
agenda is going to
definitely
change
are.
by the time you get there.
Yes, and I mean all the videos that I've seen that has been posted, especially on Facebook or Instagram, of some of the parties that you've done, even the parties with Lance Gross that you've done, the parties with Angela Simmons that you've done, even at Essence Fest. Like,
Right.
everybody rocking. And even you've been in some DJ competitions where you doing little tricks and stuff and things like that. So at the end of the day, it's exciting to see your growth over the years. And now you're basically seeing the fruits of your labor. You're actually really like now going into that part, of your craft and saying now it's like, hey, I'm living that now. I'm a celebrity DJ now.
Right.
So I mean, very commendable on your part. But before I let you go, tell everybody your social media, where they can hit you up at. And also, what advice would you give to up and coming artists and DJs that want to be in the industry?
Um, I'm gonna circle back. So artists, up and coming artists and DJs. Um, treat your brand like a business.
Mm.
Treat your brand like a business. Treat your brand as if it is a company like Lay's or Coca-Cola. How
Right.
you brand yourself is how people will perceive you. First impression is a last impression. And, um, continuously work on your craft. Always remain a student. The moment that you get to the point to where you know it all, your existence is no more.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're an artist in this game or a DJ, you can never get to that point because the game is always changing. So it's always something for you to learn, even if it's somebody younger than you.
Mm-hmm.
Like me, I always like to sit and talk to younger people and soak up game because sometimes they see things from a angle that I may not see it coming. But
Right.
what I've been around and what I've experienced, I can relate and I can, tie the two together. And even when I share my stories with younger artists and DJs, it's kind of like, oh, it paints a picture for them to where it makes it easier
Mm-hmm.
for them because when I came up in the game, we didn't have social media. Like we had to
Right.
really get out here and grind,
Mm-hmm.
press, print out flyers, mixtapes, whatever. Like it
Street
was a
crew.
lot of hand to hand. Yeah, like, we didn't have the internet, so we
Right.
had to really get out here and get to it. So
Exactly.
for any artists, up and coming artists and DJs, like treat your brand like it's a business. Treat your
Mm-hmm.
brand like it's a business and push it as such. You know what I'm saying? And learn your demographic. Know who your consumers are. Once
Mm-hmm.
again, it goes back to treating your brand like a business. Like
Mm-hmm.
all of those things are key. And and constantly working your craft, with all of those things combined, like, sky's not the limit. It's only the beginning of everything that you can and will achieve. Um,
Right.
so yeah, that's pretty much it for all up and coming artists and DJs to kind of like keep it short. Um, um, my Instagram where they can find me at SKILLZ the DJ, Skills with a Z, the DJ. Everything is at SKILLZ the DJ. Instagram, Twitter, my website www.skillsthedj.com. Facebook, the Mash Out King DJ Skills. All my stuff is it's
Yeah.
pretty.
Self-explanatory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, again, Skills, thank you so much for coming on the show and chopping up with me tonight. It's always a pleasure when we get together. I can't wait to rock out with you soon. Hopefully, you'll be coming somewhere close where we can definitely, rock out with you, of course.
Yeah, outside is opening. Outside is opening up. So I know we got a couple of things that we're trying to put together for Raleigh. I think like late July, maybe August. But yeah, my schedule is getting crazy right now.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. Everybody's ready to come outside now.
yeah,
Yeah.
the homecomings,
Yep.
all of
Yeah.
that. Like it's definitely getting there. And oh yeah, I'm gonna need your pen. I'm gonna need your pen. I'm back. I've
I
been
got you.
I've been
I
able to
got
get in
you.
my creative space. So
Okay.
I,
I already know what that is. I got you.
yeah, and a lot of people don't know. I started out when I started out DJing. My cousin he taught me how to make beats, like how to get on the
Yeah.
FP and the MP. So I'm kind of like getting back in that creative space. So
Okay. All right. All right.
I'm gonna need that pen soon. We get
I got you. I got you. All right. Thank you, Skills, so much. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight, Industry Conversations 101. Shouts out to Press Magazine for sponsoring Industry Conversations 101.